Hi everyone, welcome back to Creatively Crafted Life. This is Melanie, and today I am going to bring you another installment in my budget-friendly crafting series. And this time what we're doing is we're going to focus on using photographs to make your greeting cards. So what you see here is I've pre-selected some accessories from my stash, I guess if you want to call it that. I've picked some stamps, 3 different stamp sets. These are all from Miss Sparkle and Co. from Joann's. They were $2.99 each, so they're very inexpensive. I'm not sure which one I want to use for the greetings, so I've got 3 pulled out. I also have 2 embossing powders, a white and a gold. I'm not sure which one I want to use. Some Versamark ink, and the foam adhesive is from the dollar store. So again, another very inexpensive product there. I'm just showing you the photographs that I have printed out, and they're roughly 4 by 4. I think they're actually like 3 and 3/4 by 3 3/4. So I had started a different project. I was making a decor piece for my craft room, and I had printed some extra photos, and I didn't end up using them, obviously, hence they're extra. And so I thought, well, what else can I do with these? Because, you know, I think they're quite nice. And, you know, it seems a shame to just recycle them when I could do something with it. So I thought I would turn them into greeting cards. And I've done this quite often in the past in a pinch because it's quick and simple. And so that's what you're seeing me do here today. So you can either have your photos printed outside, you know, so using an external source like Costco or Walgreens, etc. Or I actually printed mine at home, and I do have a photo printer, so that does play a role. But if you don't, of course, have them printed, I highly recommend printing them on a matte photo paper as opposed to a glossy. This is matte that I'm using here. I just think it looks a little more card-like as opposed to photograph-like. And of course, you know, prints are relatively inexpensive, especially if you print a bunch of them. I think you can get prints for under 10 cents a photo. So for 5 prints, we're looking at 50 cents, definitely less than $1. So 5 cards, less than $1. I think that's pretty inexpensive. So what you see me here is I'm using my Fisker's stamp positioning tool thing. You don't need that. You can just use a plain acrylic block. In interest of producing these quickly, I am using the same sentiment across all of the cards. Also, the 4 cards that you see me working on right now, I'm considering them to be a set, and so I can bundle these up and give them as a gift. And they are similar in color, so I think they kind of give that vibe or that look of being a set. So I did not use my embossing buddy before I stamped and embossed. I highly recommend that you do this though, especially if you are using a glossier type of cardstock, and you just want to take the powder tool and just kind of go over lightly where you're going to stamp, and then once you've embossed, then of course you can wipe that clean so that you have a nice crisp image again. So once I did that, my plan was to mount this on a white card base, and I thought it needed a little bit more definition. And you could either do this with cardstock, or in interest again of speed and minimal supplies for this card set, I thought I would take the embossing powder and just put a little bit along the edge. So this is a very, very subtle bit of shine that we're adding to the card, but I think it's quite effective. So all I did was I just took the Versamark pad and I just pressed the paper into the Versamark pad. So that just transferred a little bit of ink. So you can see me doing that here. Actually, I rubbed it in this case. I think I got a little bit more ink transfer when I rubbed it versus just pressing it. And then I just dipped it into the embossing powder, and you just see me heating it up. So it's very, very subtle, and it's not a perfectly clean edge, and that's okay. I like that kind of wobbly look. I think it looks a little more artistic. So that's what you see me here doing on all of these 4 photos. I want to encourage you all to look at the photos that you've taken. We live in such a digital society nowadays. We all have cameras on our phones, and I'm sure we all have 1,000 photos sitting on our phones. That perhaps maybe you have some sort of scenery photo or something that's interesting that you can add a quick reading to and quickly make some cards. So some other ideas besides flowers, of course, any nature type photos. Take pictures of birds, dogs, etc. Those always make a great image. Even your coffee from Starbucks. You know, if you took an interesting photo of that, you could quickly just add a note, you know, saying hi to a friend, etc. Or, you know, how about coffee, that kind of thing. Or maybe we should get together for coffee. Just something along that line. So I think there's a great opportunity here to use those images for other things than just having them sit on our phone. So that's what I challenge you to go out and do, or to look through photos that you've already taken. So now that that's done on these 4 photos, I'm just adding the dimensional adhesive on the back. And I said before, I got this from the Dollar Tree, so very inexpensive. You can also use the 3M foam mounting tape if you have that, or any other type of pop dot that you may have, or even fun foam from, you know, the kids craft section. That also works great as a dimensional addition to your card. And because these cards are very basic and very simple, it's literally a square white card base with the image on top. I think adding a little bit of dimension does add a little bit more interest. So that's my thought behind that. And I'm just centering that up. And those are basically done. So as you can see here, there's 4 cards. They are all different flowers, but they go together. I think they make a cute little set. Now this image here, I took this photo about 10 years ago. And I just pointed out that there was this weird line going across the bottom, and that was not on the original photograph, but it was transferred, or was, imprinted on the negative. So when I did go to reprint this, unfortunately that line's there. But I still really like the image, and, you know, heading into fall, I thought this would be a great thank you card, or if you wanted to send a Thanksgiving card, that kind of thing. It kind of has that autumnal feel to it. So all I did was I just trimmed that weird little line off, and I mounted it on some brown cardstock. I think this was chocolate chip from Stampin' Up, but any, you know, dark brown cardstock would have worked. And I just trimmed that out, and then I'm just going to add the greeting above it. So it looks intentional, so nobody knows that there was that funky little line there. So other than that, everything else is the same, right? I'm using the same greeting, and I'm using the same gold embossing powder, and just applying that to the card. Now, white probably would have shown up a little better because this is a darker image, but in real life, when you're looking at it, the gold is quite nice, and I think it kind of fits that autumn theme. I did really like the gold along the edges of the other cards, and so I thought I would do that here too, even though I don't really need the contrast, because the brown card base, or the brown cardstock, is going to provide enough contrast with the white card base, but I thought it would still look kind of nice. And again, these are simple cards, so a little bit of extra in that area is not going to put it over the top. And I'm not using foam dimension on this one, again, because it's a little bit different. It has that dark border with the brown cardstock, so I didn't think it was necessary to put it on foam dots, but you definitely could. I just opted not to. So that is the last card. So I'm going to show you some close-ups here, and I will leave you with some stills. I really hope you like this and found this inspirational, and that you will go out and give this a try. If you do, leave a note below, or a link to your Instagram account, or someplace where I can see what you did, because I'd really be interested to see what inspires you. Until next time, Happy crafting.